Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Greg Sloop, and it's time for Live at 5 on this Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Hope you've had an absolutely marvelous day. It's been a rainy one here in Kannapolis, but a good day. We've needed the rain, and we're glad to have it. We are continuing looking at notable stories and passages from the Old Testament. We're still in the book of Genesis. If this is repetitive, I hope you'll forgive me. We're starting in chapter 25 today. We finished up with the story of Isaac and Rebekah and the servant of Abraham getting her for Isaac. Today we're moving into the end of Abraham's life. Chapter 25 of Genesis starts off with a story about Abraham taking another wife after Sarah died and was buried in the cave at Machpelah. It's kind of odd to me. He said to God, when God said, "You're going to have a son in a year," he said, "That's not even possible. How can that be? I'm an old man and my wife is old." So he was doubting God when it came time to have Isaac, but here he is getting married again. So he's getting married again. Let's look at what it says. Chapter 25 of Genesis. Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bore him Zimran, Joksham, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Six children, six sons she bore him after he had already said, "I'm too old to have kids." Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letushim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian, which is one of the sons, Midian, were Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldaah. And all these were the children of Keturah. So here you have the genesis of the family that became the nation of Midian, the Midianites, as you hear them spoken of in the Bible. So very many of the different tribes, the different nations, the different nationalities in the Old Testament that we hear about came from the lineage of Abraham. Now, why did he do this? I don't know why he did it. Verse 5, and Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. He gave all that was the rightful inheritance to Isaac. But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward away from Isaac, his son, to the country of the east. So they were in Canaan, which is modern day Israel, and he sent them east, which would have been into Jordan and then into Saudi Arabia. They went over into those areas, and that's where some of the Arab nations came from, was from the lineage of Abraham. Then we move into verse 7, which talks about Abraham's death and burial. It says, "This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael, still together, still connected, buried him in the cave of Machpelah," which is the same place that they buried Sarai, um, "which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer Lahai Roy." Beer Lahai Roy. So the end of Abraham's life ends an era, if you will. Abraham is talked about many chapters ago. He was one of the main patriarchs of the nation of Israel. When we talk about the patriarchs of Israel, we talk about the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham was the first. Jacob being the one that would eventually be named Israel, and the name they used as the name of the nation, the Israelites or Israel. So this ends an era. And we see after this the lives of Ishmael and Isaac. We'll talk a little bit about them tomorrow. And then we end up seeing the stories about Jacob and Esau, who were born to Isaac and Rebekah, and what a tense rivalry they had, and how Jacob got the best of his brother um, Esau. It's a whole big soap opera type of story, but nevertheless, it's part of the history of the world and part of the history of the Judeo-Christian tradition of which we are a part today. So, um, Abraham lived a good long life, 175 years. God had said a little earlier than that he would not always strive with man, that his years would be 120, and Abraham outlived that by over 50 years. He was blessed. He got the heritage that God promised him, and he left behind a son, Isaac, that would produce a multitude eventually. What a great story. What a great thing to see that what God promises, he will perform. Spend some time with God and the Word of God and prayer every day, because you'll read stories like this that help you know how to trust God, even in the midst of the delayed gratification that may be coming your way. And it'll be the best thing you do all day long. Good to see several of you on today. I see Vicki Adkins. I see Richard Britt, Sharon Noblet, Cordia Tackett, Gene Goodman. I see Vivian Thompson. I see a name I can't quite pronounce, but we're glad you're on here too, from whatever Asian nation you're in. And we're always glad to have you here on Live at 5. Whatever time of day or night you watch, it is our honor and our privilege to have you with us. Please know that we love you and we're praying for you, and I look forward to seeing each of you again tomorrow.